Any change in the variable quantity is called increment. Okay. And it is denoted by this symbol. And we call the symbol delta. Say, for example, C equals 2 pi r, circumference of the circle, where r is the radius. Okay? For every value of r, there is a corresponding value for C. And for every change in r, there is a corresponding change in C. So we write C plus delta C is equal to 2 pi times r plus delta r. Okay? For the area of the circle, we have A equals pi r square. So for every change in r, there is a change in A. So we write A plus delta A equals pi times r plus delta r squared. Okay? Another, let's say area of the square. A equals s squared. So we write A plus delta A equals s plus delta s quantity square. And also, for the volume of the cube, we have a cube. So we write V plus delta V equals A plus delta A cube. For the surface area of the cube, we have 6A square. So change in A, meron ding change in the surface area. So we have SA plus change in SA equals 6 times A plus delta A, or change in A, or increment. Okay, square. Okay, how about the volume of the sphere? We have 4/3 pi r cubed. So V plus delta V equals 4/3 pi times r plus delta r cubed. And so on. Maraming formula. Okay? Let's say y equals f of x. For every value of x, there is a corresponding value of y. So y is a function of x. For every change in x, meron din tayo sa y. So we write y plus delta y equals f of x plus delta x. Solving for delta y, we subtract y to both sides, or we transpose y to the other side. Delta y is equal to f of x plus delta x minus y. And we know y is f of x. So we substitute f of x here. So that is delta y equals f of x plus delta x minus f of x. Okay? Then we divide everything by delta x. So we have delta y over delta x is equal to f of x plus delta x minus f of x all over delta x. Okay? If we say x is fixed and we let delta x vary and approach 0, we can then write this as the limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 is equal to the limit of f of x plus delta x minus f of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay, now the limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 is also dy over dx. And this is what we call the Leibniz notation. From Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, one of the founders of calculus. The other one is Sir Isaac Newton. Okay? Yes. So from dy over dx equals the limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 is also equal to f prime of x or pwede ring y prime. So we use this one f prime of x, and this is introduced by Lagrange. Okay. Lagrange also coined the term derivative. Yan. Okay. From dy over dx equals the limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 equals f prime of x, also equal to the limit of f of x plus delta x minus f of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay, this one, finding the derivative in terms of limits from Cauchy. There. Yan yung ginagamit natin din today, no? And of course, yung Leibniz. Okay, so let me introduce to you Leonhard Euler. Sa kanya naman yung pi and e. Okay, so let's rewrite this. So we have dy over dx is equal to f prime of x or y prime is also equal to the limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Also equal to the limit of f of x plus delta x minus f of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. First principle. Okay. Now, the derivative is also known as differential coefficient. And the process of finding the derivative or finding the differential coefficient is called differentiation. Differentiation. Okay. There. Now, we are ready to solve problems. Okay. Example number 1. Let's say find the derivative of, say, y equals 4x squared minus 2. Very easy. Okay. For the solution, of course, we'll be using the principle. Okay. So solution. So copy, we have y equals 4x squared minus 2. Then change in y and change in x. So y plus delta y equals 4 times x plus delta x squared minus 2. Then y plus delta y is equal to 4. This is square, so we have x squared plus 2x delta x plus delta x squared minus 2. Then we solve for delta y. We transpose y. And y is 4x squared minus 2. So we have delta y equals, we distribute the 4. So 4x squared plus 8x delta x plus 4 delta x squared minus 2. Then transposing the y, we have positive 4x squared minus 4x squared, negative 2, positive 2. Okay, then 4x squared minus 4x squared, and negative 2 plus 2. So we have delta y equals 8x delta x plus 4 times delta x squared. Then we divide everything by delta x. And delta y over delta x is equal to 8x plus 4 times delta x. Okay? Then limits of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 is the limit of 8x plus 4 times delta x as delta x approaches 0. So we have 8x plus 4 times 0. This is 0. So the limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 is equal to 8x. So the derivative of y with respect to x is 8x. So this is your final answer. Okay. Let's have another one. Example number 2. Find the derivative of y equals cosine x. Okay, find the derivative or differentiate. Pwede rin, no? Derivative. So, find the derivative of y equals cosine of x. So, sa mga nag-pre-calculus, alam na natin to, no? The answer is minus sine x. dy over dx or derivative of cosine x with respect to x is negative sine x. Okay? So, tingnan natin. By using the first principle, so dapat ang answer natin is negative sine x. Okay? For the solution, so y equals cosine x. So change in x and change in y. So we have y plus delta y equals cosine of x plus delta x. Okay, cosine x delta x. We have sum of two angles. Say cosine A plus B equals cosine A times cosine B minus sine A sine B. Okay. So now y plus delta y is equal to cosine x times cosine of delta x positive minus sine x times sine delta x. Then we solve for delta y. We transpose y to the other side. And y is cosine x. Okay. So I'll write here, delta y is equal to cosine of x times the cosine delta x minus sine x times sine delta x minus cosine of x. Okay. Then this term, cosine x times cosine delta x minus cosine x, we factor out the cosine. Okay, so cosine x times cosine delta x minus 1. So, nalabas na natin yung cosine here. Nilipat sa dito sa labas. So, cosine x. Then, minus sine x times sine of delta x. Okay, so what is the identity for cosine delta x minus 1? Uh-huh. Okay, so kung di natin maalala, we will derive the identity for this. Okay, so recall again, no? From your trigonometry, double angle. Okay, so from say cosine 2x, we have cosine x plus x. So itong double angle naging sum of two angles na. Okay? So we have here cosine 2x equals cosine x times cosine x minus sine x times sine x. And cosine 2x is equal to cosine square x minus sine square of x. 2x. Okay. Equals. Okay, so this is 2x. Now, um, sine square x plus cosine square x, we know that this is equal to 1. And solving for cosine square x, we transpose the sine square x on the other side. So we have 1 minus sine square of x. Then we substitute this 1 minus sine square x here sa cosine square x. So cosine 2x is equal to 1 minus sine square x minus sine square of x. Or cosine 2x is equal to 1 minus 2 sine square of x. Okay. Now, cosine 2x, lipat yung 1, minus 1 equals minus 2 sine square of x. Okay? But, ang kailangan natin is cosine delta x minus 1. So, wala ritong coefficient na 2. So, paano gagawin natin dito? So, we let 2x equals theta. Okay? Then we solve for x. X is equal to theta over 2. Then cosine 2x or x is theta over 2 minus 1 equals negative 2 sine square of x. Okay? Then we cancel the 2. 2 over 2 is 1. So cosine of theta minus 1 is, I'm sorry, this is also theta over 2 because x is theta over 2. Okay, so equal to minus 2 sine square theta over 2. So cosine theta minus 1 is minus 2 sine square theta over 2. So ito yung ating kailangan. So now, okay, we have here delta y equals the cosine of cosine delta x minus 1 is parang ganito. So minus 2 sine square of delta x over 2. There. Minus sine x times sine of delta x. Then, we divide everything by delta x. Okay, so delta y is equal to minus 2 cosine of x multiplied by, say, sine delta x over 2. times sine delta x over 2. Pinaghiwalay ko na. Minus sine x, sine delta x all over delta x. Okay? Kulang pa dito. This is delta x. Okay. Now, limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 is equal to the limit of, okay, minus cosine of sine delta x over 2 times sine delta x over 2 minus sine x sine delta x. Okay? Nasa na yung 2? Yung 2 ilipat natin sa ilalim ng delta x. But what we're going to do is paghiwalay natin yung delta x. So here, we have here delta x over 2 and here delta x lang. Okay? So, let me rewrite this in, okay, ng mas maayos, no? So, we have here the limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 is equal to the limit of, rewriting lang rewrite lang. So, minus cosine of, see, this is cosine x. We have cosine x of sine delta x over 2 times sine delta x over 2, then all over delta x over 2 minus sine x sine delta x over delta x. Mahirap magkamali kasi malayo na ang buburahin natin. Okay? So, this is delta x approaches 0. This is delta x approaches 0. So, theorem number 10. The limit of sine theta over theta as theta approaches 0 is equal to 1. May nakikita ba kayong ganyan? Meron. Ito. There. And this. So, ang limit niyan as delta approaches 0 is 1. Ayun. Ito yan, no? And this. Okay, so, the limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 is equal to, the limit of this is 1. The limit of sine delta x over delta x is 1. So, substituting the delta x as 0, no? Approaching 0. So, we have minus cosine of x. Wala naman siyang delta x, so we write cosine delta x or minus cosine x. Okay, wala siyang delta x. Okay. Sine delta x over 2. So, plug in 0. Here, we have sine 0 over 2. That is 0. Okay, ito, pwede mong isulat para makita mo that the limit of delta x over 2 over delta x over 2 is 1. Theorem 10, no? And sine delta x over 2 is 0. Minus the limit of sine delta x over delta x is 1. So, this is sine x times 1. Okay? Now, the limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 is equal to, this is 0 minus sine x. So, pwede mong isulat, pwedeng hindi. So, the limit of delta y over delta x as delta x approaches 0 is equal to negative sine x. So, this is the dy over dx or the derivative of the cosine is negative sine of x. Kaya kailangan i-memorize mo na lang, no? Kasi during board exam, pag nakalimutan mo yung derivative of cosine ay negative sine x, magde-derive ka, no? Mahaba, mauubos ang time. So, memorize na lang during board exam. Okay? Yon. Okay? So, same procedure ang gagawin sa pagkuha ng derivative ng let's say what is the derivative of sine x, say the derivative of tangent. So, i-apply mo ngayon yung mga identities din, ano? Ano pa? Derivative of secant with respect to x, derivative of cosecant, no? Cosecant x with respect to x, and marami pang iba. Okay? Ganun lang. Kailangan lang maingat and dapat meron kang konting manipulation, konting algebra, and of course yung inyong trigonometry. Okay? Sa algebra, meron din palang mga factoring. So, dapat alam mo din yung let's say, pag-cube, no? Let's say, x plus 3, then cube. O, dapat alam mo yan. O, pwede mo gamitin yung Pascal's triangle. Pwede rin yan. Okay, so, next video is about the general rule. Okay? See you there. Okay, bye-bye.